Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is one I have been deeply moved by and truly honored to share with you. We are diving into a powerful, emotional and eye-opening speech that touches on the long overlooked connections and tensions between Black and Asian communities in America. From personal stories of biracial identity and cultural recognition to historical truths about immigration, business, and systemic oppression, this is more than just a reaction video. This is a celebration of truth-telling, solidarity, and the importance of ethnic studies in understanding our shared history. You will hear raw honesty about the pain of erasure, the power of representation, and the need to stand together against divisive narratives. This isn't just one person's story, it's a reminder that our communities have always been more connected than we have been told. So grab a seat, open your mind, and let's reflect, learn, and uplift together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss more content like this. Let's get into it.
Just growing up both Thai and Black. My father's African American, my mother's from Thailand. Unfortunately, I was raised to think or believe that if your father's Black, or if there's 1 ounce of blood in you that's Black, then you're totally Black. In reconnecting with my Thai culture and heritage, we went back to Thailand, my entire family. I was able to meet family members that I hadn't seen since I was 3 years old. And there was still that language barrier because they only knew Thai, I only knew English. But in the last 2 years, I've been able to speak Thai. I'm still taking lessons. And there's a new wholeness, I can say, for myself, from my mother, from my father, and also from my siblings. So I would just encourage any child or person that's biracial to expose their kids to both sides of the culture. I mean, my husband and I are like 6.5 months pregnant, and we've agreed that our child will be completely exposed to my mother's side of the family. He or she will know the Thai language as well as my father's side of the family.
Hi, so for those of you who don't know, I identify as Black and Japanese American. I'm aware that to some people I may not outwardly present as Asian, but I'm still really proud of my culture and heritage. It has been extremely saddening and terrifying to see the increase of hate crimes towards Asian Americans. Asian Americans have faced systemic racism since the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act. It is so scary to see people that look like my mom, my grandfather, or my great-grandma, who was put on house arrest during World War II, being subject to such hate, xenophobia, and racism. This is a very real issue, and if you want to help in any way, there is a link in my bio for Act to Change. Stop Asian hate.
It's really heartbreaking to me, but it's also really crucial to me to think about how Black and Asian communities have historically, the media has pitted us against each other, but then how historically, if we really look closely, these communities there's always been moments in which we've worked in solidarity with each other, and we've been able to identify larger systemic structures. So that's why I think ethnic studies is so important. It gives us opportunities to identify those systemic powers, right, and factors, so that we can then move forward, so we can identify what's happening now, and then we can envision a world in which we don't let the media pit us against each other.
Yes, this is really important. Asian Americans were redlined from opening businesses in white neighborhoods because white people didn't want Asian Americans operating in their neighborhoods and didn't want Asian Americans profiting off of white people. But because the positionality of Asian Americans is weaponized to oppress Black people, Asian Americans were being given loans to open businesses in Black communities, even though Black people were not able to receive loans to open businesses in their own communities. And as I've said before, as a result of this, Black wealth is essentially paid out twice when it goes to Asian American businesses. Once when the individual pays for the goods or services, and then again when the Asian American business owner removes the profit from the community. Because usually people open businesses in their own communities, and this is mutually beneficial, where the business owner is making a livelihood off of providing goods and services to their community, and by being a member of the community, they're contributing and they're investing back into the community. This is an ideal situation, and that is not what happens with Asian American businesses operating in Black communities.
I need to go on and on and on about Sinners because that movie is an absolute masterpiece. But I want to talk about the Asian representation in the movie because a lot of people don't realize how many Chinese immigrants moved into the Delta for better opportunities and open grocery stores and all sorts of other businesses just to make it through. And a lot of the Jenna South's chicken, that came from Chinese immigrants that moved to the South because they were trying to build better lives for themselves. And we kind of erased that history because I was never taught that. I learned that as an adult. So shout out to Ryan Coogler for representing or the representation of Asian Americans because their stories are intertwined with ours. We just been separated and we forgot how important Black and Asian solidarity is to our freedoms. And I'm not gonna say which scene it is, but shout out to the Asian ancestor that's also represented in that one scene, the best scene that I have seen in a long, long time, because that was just a chef's kiss. Loved it.
Alright, when we talk about the histories of Black and Asian communities in the United States, we often get these fragmented, sanitized, or even outright false narratives. What this speech does so beautifully is pull back the layers, challenging the ways we have been taught or not taught about our interconnected struggles and ultimately our interconnected liberation. Let's begin with the reality that for generations the media and larger systemic structures have intentionally pitted Black and Asian communities against each other, whether through the model minority ment or the criminalization of Black identity. This mechanism wasn't created by accident. They were manufactured to create wedges between communities that, if unified, could challenge the very foundation of systemic oppression. But here is the truth. Our histories are deeply ingrained. We only need to look back at the Delta region where Chinese immigrants, many escaping exclusion and persecution on the West Coast, made their way south and opened grocery stores and small businesses, not out of opportunism, but survival. These were people looking for a chance to live, just like Black communities were. And yet, how many of us were taught that? How many of us were taught that some of the early food systems we associate with Southern culture, like the genocide chicken, are part of a colonial lineage shaped by Chinese immigrants? That history matters. It tells us that these communities were side by side, sometimes in conflict, but often in proximity, trying to navigate with white supremacy in different ways. And that leads us to the uncomfortable but necessary part of the conversation: how structural racism granted certain privileges to some while denying them to others. Asian Americans, while being discriminated against, were still sometimes positioned as buffers in Black communities. They were given business loans that Black entrepreneurs were flat out denied. These loans often placed Asian-owned businesses in Black neighborhoods, which created resentment, and understandable so, because when wealth leaves a community, when profit hasn't reinvested, when ownership is external, communities are left depleted. But again, that resentment shouldn't be turned toward each other. It should be turned toward the system that engineered this imbalance. That is why ethnic studies is so crucial. It gives us the tools to name the architecture of oppression, to understand that Asian American presence in Black communities isn't about individual fault or malicious intent. Is about how capital, opportunity, and racism work hand in hand to pit us against each other. And then there is the beauty of representation, because seeing yourself matters. The shout out to Ray Coughlin is well deserved. Film can be a mirror, and in that one particular scene that doesn't even need to be named, there was an honoring of Asian ancestors that gave chills to anyone paying attention. That scene mattered because it broke the mood. It reminded us that solidarity can be visual, symbolic, and deeply emotional. We also can't ignore the rawness in the personal stories shared here. The journey of someone growing up Thai and Black are being told that they could only be one side of themselves. That is heartbreaking. It is the result of a binary worldview that doesn't allow for multiplicity, hybridity, or cultural intersection. But when that person finally returns to Thailand, reconnects with their family, learn the language, that is reclamation. That is healing, not just for them, but for their parents, their siblings, and now their future kids. There is power in that. There is power in refusing to be split. And there is power in raising children who know their full lineage and carry it with pride. Likewise, when someone says, I know I may not look Asian, but I'm proud of Japanese American heritage, they are fighting a different but related battle: visibility. The politics of visibility and legitimacy are so often weaponized in communities of color. We are not black enough, not Asian enough, not the same enough. But what these stories make clear is that we are enough, that our existence in these liminal spaces is not a deficiency, is a bridge. And then there is the pain of witnessing hate crimes, the fear that your mother, your grandfather, your great grandmother, or literally on house arrest during World War II might be targets of violence just for existing. That fear is real. The history is real, from Chinese exclusion out to the internment camps to COVID era scapegoating. Asian Americans have never been exempt from the cruelty of white supremacy, and acknowledging that doesn't take away from the suffering of other communities. It actually helps us understand how white supremacy adapts mutely and targets in waves. So when we talk about solidarity, it's not just about standing next to each other in protest. It's about knowing each other's history. It's about teaching our children just to be proud of where they come from, but to understand how our struggles are connected. That is what makes this speech so necessary. It's an invitation to unlearn and relearn, the deconstruct and rebuild, to love ourselves and each other in the most revolutionary way possible through the truth. Because at the end of the day, we can't build a future where we all are free if we don't confront the ways we've been separated. We can't just coexist, we have to co-struggle, co-dream, and co-create. To the speakers, the educators, the storytellers, thank you. Thank you for the vulnerability, for the history, for the call to action. And to everyone watching, I hope this isn't the end of the conversation for you. I hope it's just the beginning. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more content like this. Let's keep having the hard conversations. Let's keep listening. Let's keep learning. Until next time. Peace.